Blended Podcasts. Brought to you by Blended Audio.
Hello and welcome to Centre Stage, the South African Film and Theatre Podcast. I am your host, Alistair. With me as always
is your other host, Peter Bates, and today we're joined by the very talented
Ronne.
Good morning, Wayne.
Good morning.
How are you?
I am so tired.
Aren't we all on a lovely Sunday? So to start all things off, I'm just going to ask you a very easy question. Very easy. Who are you?
Who am I? I am an actor, a professional actor. I am a playwright. I do lots of things. I do murder mysteries. I help out with being an actor for a day. I work and have a day job. But yeah, mostly acting and writing. Yeah.
Being an actor for a day, what's that?
Actor for a Day is an opportunity for people who have never acted in the day of their life or wanting to know what the process is to being an actor. Especially in the community theatre, we rehearse for roughly 12 weeks, 3 times a week, 2 hours a pop, so that's already 6 hours a week. And being an actor for a day, it allows them to experience it within a day. So they audition for the role, they do all the warm-ups, they do all the preparation to perform in front of a live audience. And it's actually quite rewarding because you actually see the potential of these people who have never acted in the day of their life.
So that happens at the Mask Theatre, I see.
Yes, it does. I think every 2 months, that happens. If you really want to know more information about that, you can check the Facebook page, Circle Productions, or Be an Actor for a Day. They've got their Instagram account as well as Twitter.
Cool. That's interesting. I had heard about it, but I never had it explained to me. So thank you.
No, it's so much fun because I kind of do their social media and participate as well. And I kind of make sure that everyone's calm, cool, and collected because it can be very stressful, you know. Arriving to a venue and then you're having to audition in front of people that you don't know.
You've never done before in your life.
That you've never done before in your life. And when they do perform at the end of the day, they do have their script with them. So they've got that security blanket. But yeah.
So you do social media for everything the Mask Theatre does? No.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Oh, you used to.
I used to.
There was a used to part, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I used to, yes. I'm still very much involved in the societies that produces shows at the Mask Theatre, so I assist them whenever I can. I do extremely a lot of things.
And you're also in a lot of community theatre shows.
Just recently, last night, I just finished doing Relative Values. And a funny story is that the sound and lighting was there was an issue, so we just decided to leave the lights on. So
house lights,
not the house lights, the stage lights. So when we finished the scene, everyone went off stage, and then we had to start a new scene. But how does everybody know that's the next day? So I walked on stage, looked around, and I said, "What a lovely Sunday morning it is! Why is this house so empty?" And then I go to the garden and I talk about Elsie Mumby, which is a fictitious character. And I went and rang the bell, which worked obviously because the bell was on the stage, and sat down and started the scene. Yeah.
So improvisation at its best.
Yes. What is so funny is that when I did audition for Relative Values, I actually wanted a cameo, a small part, because I kind of started a full-time job and I kind of want to give back to the community theatre, but I just didn't want to do a big role. So I thought I would play this Don Lucas, which was a American film star. So we had our first table read and I was introducing myself. "Hi, I'm Wayne, I'm playing Don." And then the director said, "No, you're playing Peter." "Oh, who's Peter?" he is the nephew to the lead. I'm like, okay, cool. Is it a cameo? Yeah, sort of. Yeah, sort of. It took me a while to learn those lines, eh? It was huge.
Also a big mind shift of going from thinking you're just a cameo
Yes. Yeah, but Don Lucas wasn't a cameo either. So I would have lost both ways. Yeah.
So you said you just started a full-time job, but then now you're also doing
Acting.
this
Yes.
production. How do you live?
How do I live? It's actually been a while since I've actually had a full-time job, so it was easy in the past because I could be staying at home, sleeping until 11 and then learn my lines and then go to rehearsals. That's all I could have done. I mean, when I was working in the retail industry, I had an off day every 2 days, so that was my opportunity to learn lines. But with this production, I learned my lines at rehearsals. So
But I mean, often you learn lines through doing. So.
yes, that's correct. And then my co-stars would come up to me and it's like, Wayne, would you like to go through your lines? I'm like, no, thank you. I rather suck through that, or to rather be stressed in a sense, because then it's quicker to learn my lines. I think I managed to get my lines fairly accurate by the time we moved into the theatre. But that's that's the fun part of it, because I also didn't want my character to be stale. And the one thing about live theatre is it never goes according to plan. Never. Because I had to learn how to make a martini on stage and still remember when my cue is to say my line. And there I am with a shaker in my hand, saying my line when it's not supposed to, or it falls out of my hand, or I tripped over the carpet. It was quite an experience. Probably the reason why I got a sore back.
I like that you say you don't want your character to be stale, because I think you and I, Peter, ran into that
Over-rehearsed. Yeah.
that sort of wall when we're doing the halfway in, and both of our characters, we felt there's such a thing as over-rehearsing.
Yes, of course. I'm just speaking from experience. I was in a production once, and we moved in on Sunday, and we rehearsed every single day until we had a live performance. And I'm like, we kind of need a break. And opening night wasn't good. I'm just saying it out there. It wasn't good, but I can tell you the Saturday performance, we were absolutely amazing, because we had the whole morning relaxing, resting. So yeah, there is a thing when you can be over-rehearsed.
So in community theatre, you go to the audition.
Yes.
You do the audition, you get the part. Because a lot of people in community theatre are like you now, have full-time jobs.
Yes.
How do rehearsals work?
Okay, so basically the audition notice will come out, and then there's an audition. And it gets explained at the audition that you'll be rehearsing 3 times a week. It's either Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday, and alternative to either having the Sunday or the Saturday. A lot of people prefer to have the Sunday rehearsal, but that's just my opinion. So yeah, then you will have the table read. Once you get the part, Once you get the part, you have the table read, and you read the play for the first time, and then you go straight into blocking. Sometimes professional shows, they have the opportunity to rehearse every single day. I know a friend of mine who she rehearsed every single day, and I was just thinking, okay, your play's going on in 3 weeks and you haven't had a rehearsal yet. How is this possible? So that obviously explains how the whole process works there. And you could be lucky enough just to only be required to be there for the one rehearsal. And then we still do the publicity, photo shoots, we still do the marketing and what have you. And as the weeks progress towards moving into the theatres, the mass theatre, the rehearsals become more intense. Like when we move in, we don't have a lot of time to just faff around. So sometimes we are there until 11, 12 o'clock at night. And people run businesses. People
Yeah.
have jobs the next day. And because of that, people start getting sick. Because you are using your energy like almost 24/7, and there's no time for your body to relax, to recover, and that's when the little germs comes in. I mean, I had tonsillitis. I've never had tonsillitis in my whole entire life, and that was an experience. I was in a show just recently, well, the one I just was in now. The lead actress lost her voice. A couple of the stars also were sick, and it's all had to do with the throat and the chest and the voice and what have you. It was like, geez. When we said thank you to the director last night, I was like, through sickness and through health. Yeah.
But community theatre is nice, especially for people who maybe enjoy doing something with theatre but don't want it to, but don't have, I don't want to say aspirations, but like they don't want to be like a famous person. They just want to be a part of it.
I totally
and then
get you.
They get the chance to be in like a full production with a nice set and like a big cast and like in a nice theatre, and they get the whole experience. I think that's one of the many perks of community theatre is like there's a budget. There's a lot, like it might not be a huge budget, but there's a budget.
No, the one thing is so cool. I mean, I've been doing community theatre for 11 years now, so I've seen the ins and outs of many people, and a lot of people have shared the mask stage and has now moved on to professional things, which is kind of cool. A lot of people kind of want to know what it's like, and we do have a lot of fun. We have so much fun, and you know when you are in a good cast is when you gel so much that after the show is done, it's like we need to get together. We need to have like a reunion. When I did 4 Chairs, a script that I wrote, we were like literally inseparable after the show had ended for almost a year. And I think everyone's like, okay, I think this is enough, Wayne. I think we all need to go our separate ways, but we are still very close to this day. It's just that we don't see each other as much. And I've seen and met a lot of people who always wanted to do theatre again. That might have done it in high school, and they just wanted to feel what it would be like to do it now outside of high school and in front of a paying audience, actually. One of my friends, Brian Look, who's in marketing and advertising, I think, he did acting in high school, and his wife is also an actress, and they did Abigail's Party at the Mass Theatre, and he did the sound and lighting. And that director found out that he could act, and she said, why don't you audition for the show that's going to happen later on this year? And I was really, really impressed. And he took on the lead. And some people are very talented.
And they just haven't like
explored it
yet.
Yes. Another person, Kelly Kowalski, bless her cotton socks. She's a lawyer now, but she was amazing. We did the Breakfast Club together, and she's got like a photographic memory, and she used to prompt us on stage. Yeah.
So you said you wrote what, 4 Chairs?
4 Chairs.
Yes. I also know that recently you wrote something called Inertia. Yes. What? Because it said to the theme of sloth. So what is it like writing? Because a lot of us, when we write, we get an idea and it's all like our idea and everything when we write. But what's it like writing to a theme?
It was quite an experience. I mean, with 4 Chairs, I wrote from an experience that I went through. I just indulged in some of the content. When Mishmash Media Productions had this competition for the 7 Deadly Sins, I knew that I wasn't going to write about lust. I knew it because that was too obvious. And I thought to myself, as a writer, let me challenge myself. So I actually wrote one for Envy. And that was too close to home, because I have to admit that I have been envious of my friends who are in the industry. And it was like, okay, I don't think I want anyone to watch this. So when it came to Inertia, at that time, I didn't actually have a title for the script, and I wrote that in 2 days. I had this idea, and it was just like that. I just wrote it, and I have to admit, I struggle writing for a theme, and I also struggle writing for someone who wants you to write a script for them.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't know what you want. No, I want this and blah, blah, blah. But I'm like thinking, It's like the creative differences. Because sometimes I get a little bit, I wouldn't say upset, but taken back when someone says, okay, this is weird, change that. Okay, this is weird, change that. I'm like, but no,
it's my baby.
That's my story. What are you doing? But I have learned the hard way, and learned recently that the director has seen a vision within your script, and you should allow the director to say, this will work much better if this happened. Inertia, for example, it was directed by Bernie Jacobs Gordon. She told me to change the ending of the show, and I was like, why? No, it's the final nail in the coffin for the character Stephen, because now he would have to live with the consequences of him being lazy, him being a sloth, as you were. So it kind of worked. When I was so freaking nervous when I went to go watch it, because I was told that I was allowed to have some input in the rehearsals and all of that jazz. But I thought to myself, no, let's just see what turns out. I want to see how the director gets inspired from the script, because then I can feel safe when I do write a script and someone wants to direct and produce it. I don't have to have like this, you're taking my child away from me. What are you doing? Giving it a tattoo? What? That sort of thing. Yeah.
So you said earlier that you do a lot of things.
Yeah.
Is there anything you like in particular? So do you like acting more than writing, or
wow
directing?
Because the thing is that writing was never like a thing that I wanted to do. I mean, I started writing when I was 13 years old. I remember I wanted to write a book, and my one friend read it, and she said to me, this is a script, Wayne, not a book, because I was more interested in what people had to say than what they looked like and how they felt and what have you. So I kind of stuck to that. That was 13. I only started acting when I was 15. I carried on writing my scripts, and I was writing movie scripts, and the one script that I wrote was very close to I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, and at that time I've never watched the movie, so it was kind of weird how I had the same premise and that it was stuck on the island and what have you. It was just crazy. And when I got to high school, my writing got really carried away, because I was getting more invested in the characters that I was creating, but I was writing a movie script. So I started writing sequels to that, and then the trilogy to the movie, so I could see how my characters grew. And then I thought to myself, why not just write a TV series? So the first series I wrote was Promise Valley. It was about, I think, these kids in high school, I'm not too sure, or young adults. And that was 13 episodes a season, and that ran for 7. And that was all handwritten. And then I wrote The Thin Line Between Us, which was 23 episodes a season, and that ran for 7. And that was based on the kids that were born in Promise Valley. So there was a lot of, like, the characters were very close, so there was always a thin line between them. And I got into a lot of trouble in high school. My parents actually told me, Wayne, you are only allowed to write in the lounge. If you write in your room, you're going to be grounded. Because I would write until 3 o'clock in the morning, because I was more interested in the characters. And I also kind of felt that writing was more of like an escape from the reality that I was living in at the time. And it also gave me the sense of how to control people. Yes. And then, and I'm also very much of a visual person. So I was writing people that I went to school with. So each of those people had a character within my script.
Do they know?
Some of them did. My friends, Rosie and Zulfa, they were my fans, and they basically controlled their characters and what they wanted their characters to go through and how they would end up. And they were very supportive through my high school career. And I still continued acting through high school, and I then directed 2 one-act plays in grade 11 because the director at that time decided not to direct a school play. And I was like, how can you do that? What about the matrics of that year? I mean, how can they end off the year without a school play? So I did that. And then that was poorly supported. And then the deputy principal says to me, you either find a play that will draw the audience or you write one. So I wrote one, and it was labeled as a musical. It wasn't supposed to be a musical, but it was labeled as a musical because I got people who could sing. I got people who could dance. Yeah, so that went really, really well because it ran twice, which was the first at the school. It was written and directed by a student, which was the first at the school. So I was really breaking records then. And then when I left, I wrote another play called The Witches. I have no cooking clue where that script is. It was just about these 3 witches who are now... They were living in the past, but they still had information of the future. I don't know what I was writing about then. But that was supposed to be the next school play for the school, and I was going to come back and direct it. But it never materialized. But yeah. But I continued writing throughout my 20s. And then, yeah. And then I concentrated more on writing plays around about 2011.
So a strong love for writing I'm sensing from the side of the room.
Yes, because sometimes when I watch a movie, I watch a TV show, and I'm thinking, who wrote this? I was like, really? You really want to go that way? I mean, I know I'm not a professional writer. I'm writing from experience. But, like, I'm going to use this for example. You watch Seven de Laan, right? Those characters have not changed in the 19 years that some of them have been. The only characters that have changed was Paula van der Lack. After she got married, got pregnant, and lost the baby, when she came back from that hiatus, that character was different. She was not bratty, she was not snobby, she was a different Paula. And because of the characters not changing as much, she stuck out like a sore thumb. I know that there are new writers there now, and sometimes I just find it so weird. Like, do you guys watch Seven de Laan?
No.
Okay, so there's another character who's been in for 19 years. Her name was Hilda, and she was always known for her weird cooking recipes and her stupid scarves around her neck, and she worked at the deli, and she was very naive in a sense. And then somehow, somewhere, the writers decided to give her a makeover, and she stopped working at the deli. And then you discover that she actually has a daughter, and the daughter has children. Now she's a grandmother, and her husband just upped and left her and cheated on her. And I was just like, what is going on here? She's not the same Hilda from when she started, because she was hilariously funny, and the way she baked her cakes and all of that. And then she became this very supportive grandmother, supportive mother, which she wasn't in the past. And it's just like, sorry, that's just the writer in me. I just get so irritated.
So what irritates you the most about bad writing? What's something that your pet peeve? What really ticks you off?
It's like when they state the obvious. Do you remember Passions? I know I'm sticking to soapies here, but Passions, every time the characters spoke to each other, they always said the whole name. Like Teresa Lopez Fitzgerald or Ethan Crane. It's like, You know these people. Why are you naming them all the time? I just don't like people. Well, I don't like writing when they think that the audience is
They treat
stupid.
the audience like an idiot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not stupid. I can see what's happening. Oh, the window is open. You could see the curtain moving, so you don't have to tell me that the window is open. Shoot, I really need to think about more of those. But I do, it's like, if there is bad writing, because if there's bad writing, there's bad acting. I don't know if someone could act from bad writing. And sometimes I cannot watch shows like that. It's like the minute I see something that's really, really bad, I'm like, I'm changing the channel, I'm watching something else. I can't deal.
But I mean, bad movies, people love watching bad movies. It's like, it's so bad, you just have to keep watching it, right?
Yeah, but for me, it just boils my blood. I'm
Really?
thinking of the opportunity as an actor could have, and having to deal with bad writing or bad directing or...
What about bad writing that's so bad it's good?
Is that even a
Jeez.
thing?
Can you give me an example?
Well, that's where you get what I think you get going into cult classics.
Yeah.
That you get some weird ass films
Like
that
Kung
are-
Pao.
like Kung Pao.
yeah,
That's
that's
just
a
like
great- that's a great
terrible.
Yes.
Alistair, that is a great movie, by the way.
No, it is actually, to be
I know
honest.
what you're saying.
I love the movie, but like, why do we love it? Because if you just look at it at like a very purely objective point of view, it's
It's a
terrible.
great
Maybe the director and the
beautiful.
writer know that it's bad, but they're just going with it. They've got the material that they've got, and they're just going with it.
But what makes us like it?
I think it's just the freedom of being away from reality, I think.
So far away from reality.
Yeah, so far from
very,
reality.
very far. Floating pyramids far.
Yeah, I'm trying to think now. Flip. Like the scary movies with
Yeah.
those ones. It's
Well,
like
the first one was considered good.
it was
because it
considered
was like a-
good.
But then
a
the second and
parody.
third, and then I don't know, they got like 5 eventually, which was complete trash. Anyway, but
Yeah.
that's kind of like a parody movie. Like its
Yeah.
job is to rip off other movies.
Yeah, but also Kung Pao was also like a parody movie of all the great.
Oh yeah, of course. All
Movies.
the, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's actually a difference there between a movie that's a parody, which is funny, and then a movie that's so bad that it's actually hilarious as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to be actually talking about that and a little bit more
In our next episode.
in our next episode.
Yay!
So thank you for your little bit of input.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us today. It's been great having you here and telling your story.
Cool. Thank
And
you very
yeah.
much for having me.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
And join us next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.
King Media Productions Centre Stage is a South African film and theatre podcast hosted by Alistair King and Daniels and Peter Bates and produced with the generous assistance of Blended Podcasts, brought to you by Blended Audio.